Welcome to Divine Encounters. I am your host, Oracle, the Aquarius, bringing inspired divine essence from the divine, of course. Cheers to your health. Wow, do I have a very special show for you all today. So today is a very special time because we're in the midst of the opening of the Lion's Gate. And today we have a very special guest, the bearded psychic. And he's going to be sharing with you guys an amazing, fascinating story, one of divine intervention that I'm sure all of you will absolutely love. And thank you for joining me this Wednesday night. And if you caught my series premiere on Monday night, you know we had lots of audio problem, but tonight we got you covered. So how about we bring the one, the only, the beers?
Hi. I can't hear you. You're muted. Yeah, you're muted.
I'm unmuted. Yay. Please introduce yourself to everyone.
My name is James Jacoby. I go by the Bearded Psychic because I have this beautiful beard here. I've had this beard for a long time. I don't know, like, not that it's a part of me, but I don't know if you remember on Facebook, but there was this thing where you could make these like cute little emojis that looked like cartoon characters, like not the new one, but it was years ago, maybe like 6 or 7 years ago. And mine was just this like cute, adorable, Powerpuff looking bearded creature. And I remember I thought it was adorable. Everyone just thought it was so adorable. And ever since then, I started calling myself the Bearded Psychic, and it just kind of stuck.
Wow. I mean, that's really cute. We always get like these quirky little nicknames unusually, right? It'd be weird if we just kind of named ourselves the Bearded Psychic. Well, guys, this is an interactive show, so please share your questions at the bottom of the screen and win an opportunity from I, the Oracle, to answer your questions intuitively on Monday's night's broadcast. And with every single broadcast, we're going to do this kind of Sesame Street style. And what I mean by that is that we're going to check out what is today's broadcast. It is brought to you by the Pray Card. Here is your 1-minute message for today. The answer to your question involves prayer. You're being guided to pray about the situation in order to elicit answers and assistance. Your guardian angels pray with you, asking for divine intervention to help you and your loved ones. Your life purpose involves prayer as well. Your entreaties are strong and powerful, and the world needs them. Your guardian angel asks you to amplify the volume and rate of your supplications for this situation. Prayer is extremely effective, so by engaging in this practice, you're making a tremendous contribution. Take time right now, stop and pray from your heart. The words that you use aren't important compared to your sincere desire to connect with the divine. Be open to a response appearing different from your expectations and know that your prayers are being heard and answered. What a powerful message. Let's bring you back on here, friend. What a powerful message. How do you feel about that? Our card of the day. It's like instead of the number of the day or the color of the day, it's the card of the day.
I love it because it's that reminder that we're not alone, and that reminder that we need to look outside of ourselves. And I mean, I will admit, I don't remember exactly where you're from and where you're living, but I know that like as an American, like we're just taught so much to be individuals, and we forget, right? We forget that we need all of this together, that nothing really is uniquely our own, that we're all in this together, for better or for worse, and we need each other, and that there are these beautiful beings beyond what we can see and touch and feel and know.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that kind of is the segue into what this platform is for today. What this story time is all about is to kind of give everybody that understanding that we are not alone. So tell us a little bit about your amazing story, James. Lead us into it however you feel like it needs to be led into.
So I kind of feel like my story is a two-parter. It's a story that starts when I was a child. My one of the things that I think brought me into working with spirit and the divine was just my childhood. I had a mother who suffered really immensely from a debilitating disease. She had multiple sclerosis, and for those of you who don't know what that is, you have a protective sheeting on your nerves that actually starts to like dissolve away. And so it's like if you have a wire with no insulation, you get lots of electrical feedback, and it's very painful and very debilitating. And it can create a lot of mental issues. Like my mother had a lot of mental issues to go with this physical disease. Well, I've looked at the energy of it a lot. The energy of multiple sclerosis is like hopelessness and powerlessness. And it really creates that, people really struggle having agency in their own life. And so, it kind of starts with that. My mother, she'd been sick my whole life. Like, I think she was diagnosed when I was like 6 or 7 years old.
That's very difficult, especially at that such a young age. You're developing, you're very reliant on especially your mother. She's your nurturer, your caretaker, your caregiver. So it sounds like these roles were reversed for you.
Yeah, very much so. And my father worked, of course, he worked full time to take care of me and my mother. And, so yeah, I was the one cooking dinner a lot of times. I was the one who had to clean the house and, definitely put in these, plus go to school and do all the other stuff that kids have to do.
Yes.
And I know my mother loved me very much. I know both my parents loved me very much. But like I was saying, she just got trapped in this. She got trapped in this powerlessness and this isolation. And
that can be a very difficult thing to come back out of once we're in that dark hole, in that trap, so to speak. It's like we're surrounded by ooze, and how do we see the light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah. And even do we think there is an end of the tunnel? I know, when we get so stuck in pain, we can think that it will never end, that this is where I will always be. I will always be miserable. There is no hope. Because that's part of what that idea of no hope is that this is forever, right? Our kind of like our lizard brain, our monkey mind. My friend calls it the flying monkey mind. We get so fixated and we think that things are going to be the same way forever. And so with my mother, like I said, she just had all these issues and she was on all these heavy pain medications. And what I think is really phenomenal is, and I know I've told you this story before, but it was really like everything just fell into place. Like the story revolves around my mother's suicide, right? So just trigger warning for people who are maybe suffering with mental health or have issues around suicide. But there really was everything. I think all of this was just so divinely guided. So I was in seventh grade, at least give or take, I think. I want to say like seventh or eighth grade. And it was like a half day. You know how schools sometimes will just randomly have half days. And
yeah,
I remember I came home at like noon. It was like
those were the best kinds of days.
Yeah, they really were. And I remember I came home and it was around noon. And I shouldn't have been home at that time. And I got home and my parents' room, the door was shut and the door was locked. And every day I'd come home from school, I'd go and see my mom and see if she needed anything, how she was doing. But the door was shut and the door was locked, which that was not ever anything that ever happened. The door was never shut. It was never locked.
You always had access to your parents' room.
Yeah. Especially because my mother at the time used a walker, right? She had a walker, she had a catheter bag. So it's not like she was up and mobile. Like she could get up and do mobile, but just because of her physical ailment and her own mental ailment, she was just not a very mobile person. So the door was always open so I could help her because she always, we always need help. We always need things. And I remember that being like the first red flag. Oh, this is weird. Why is the door locked?
Right. Especially since you have this access and your mother needs to come in and out because it would be so much more work to move the walker out of the way to get through the door.
Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly it. And so the door was locked and we had one of those little keys, right? That you put the key in the hole. It's like a bobby pin.
The skeleton key, the little thin ones.
Yeah. The little teeny ones that you just like push and it like opens the door. Exactly.
Good luck replacing that.
And I remember thinking that I hadn't been able to find that for a long time because I would always play with it. Like I remember being stupid and a little kid, and I would play with everything. And I just remember having like we had lost the keys because I had played with them. And I remember the door was locked, and I just reached up above her door to see if there was a key there, and there just happened to be a key there, even though I remember thinking that there shouldn't have been any of these keys around. And I get in there, and she's not in her room; she's in her bathroom.
Wow.
Which is also weird, right? There's all this stuff, and I go on there, and I can hear her sobbing in the bathroom, and I just hear her. She's sobbing, she's crying, and I'm like, "What's going on? Are you okay?" And she's like yelling at me to leave. She's yelling at me to go away. And of course, luckily the key works again. And I use the key to get in there, and she like created a little like bed for herself in her shower. And she had all these pills lined up, and she was basically just going to end her own life.
And she had a little bed in the shower. So you walked in there, and at what age were you when you walked into this scene?
I can't remember exactly, but I was like 11 or 12 probably.
So what do you think you were thinking at that time, just seeing your mom in the bathtub, making a bed in the bathtub, and all of these pills lined up?
I remember just being very, very calm. That was one of the things that I really attribute to the divine connection and the divine protection was just how calm I was. I remember just being so rational, so calm, so clear-headed, right? I think, for anyone who has any experience with 11, 13-year-old boys, they're not necessarily very clear-headed anyway. And I just remember being so clear-headed.
Wow. And why do you think you were clear-headed in that moment? What do you think was the attributing factor?
I definitely attribute it to unseen, the kindness of unseen beings, of the unseen divine. I mean, whether you want to call it angels or enlightened beings or whatever word you want to ascribe to it, I 100% think that's what it was. And I actually have a really further interesting thing to go along with this. But so then my mother's there, I help her up. She's sobbing. She's just sobbing, sobbing, sobbing. And, and she'd even like written a note on her mirror. She had one of those old beds that had like the mirror over the bed, and then the two like big cabinets or whatever on either side of the mirror, those like bed sets that were really popular in the 90s and the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And she like crawled up, and in lipstick, she wrote like something about like, I love you, like, don't hate me or something like that in lipstick. And I remember having the clarity too, wiping off the lipstick, and she's just sitting there sobbing. She's like crying and sobbing. And I just remember just comforting her, just sitting there and comforting her. And she like begged me. She begged me not to tell my dad, which I didn't. I told him years and years later, but I didn't. And I just remember sitting there, just trying to be with her, just trying to love her. And I very much so ascribe it to divine intervention, divine protection. And what was really interesting about this is that years and years later, in like 2017, I went to this spiritual like convention workshop, and there was a woman who I was working with at the time named Samantha Fay, and she was leading us all through this like meditation, this deep inner work. And it was like, go back to a period in your life where like past you needed you. And I could feel myself like present, like 2017 me going back to that moment. And it was almost like the adult me took care of the child me.
So it was like you were getting some shadow work. That's what it sounds like you were doing in the moment.
Yeah.
Coming in to visit your inner child and saying, hey, what's up? What's going on?
Totally.
And I'm sure, what did your inner child wind up expressing to you?
Well, it was like, as an adult, it's like I finally had the space to experience all the pain and the fear and the, all the, like I said, like I was so clear-headed as like an 11-year-old, a 13-year-old. And so it was like I got to experience all the pain I needed to experience, all the frightened, all that stuff, as an adult. It just came out. It was like, oh my gosh, it's just like, just cry, little kid, just like, you're okay.
Oh, it sounds like you just put a pin in it and said, okay, we're just not going to deal with this until I'm much older, and we'll figure it out then. Boop. That's what that sounds like.
Yeah, it kind of was. It kind of, yeah.
Wow, that's an amazing story, guys. How are you feeling about this story that's happening. It's absolutely amazing. And would you say that after you revisited those feelings and integrated them, that it got you closer to being who you are today?
Yeah, I would
How do they entwine?
yeah, I would definitely say so. I mean, it kind of came into my life in a tumultuous place. Like I would say there was like 2017, 2018 was a very tumultuous time in my life.
Tumultuous. I just love,
Yeah.
I love this word.
Um, yeah, it just like I had a lot of business goals. I in my spirituality, I would say, has taken a huge step since I was working with this woman. And my whole reason I was working with her was to develop a coaching business and all these
Mhm.
things. And a lot of the business stuff I was doing didn't necessarily work out, but it was because of some really deep emotional stuff that I really had to get through. Um, and I would say what's really interesting is I connected with you before I had gone through this like deep emotional journey. So it almost feels like it's
Wow.
full circle, when I was talking to you and I had this like beautiful unlocking to just having the ability to go through my own deep set emotions and my own mental habits and the way I processed emotions, and how in many ways I was just as overwhelmed with my emotions as my mother was overwhelmed with her emotions. We
Right.
just had different reasons for it.
Wow. And wow, that sounds amazing. That really does sound amazing. It sounds like you just did a full circle there. And for those of you who didn't know, me and James don't actually really know each other. It's just universe synchronized us before Divine Encounters got put on E360 TV as a mini series. And I felt his story was so inspiring that he was able to help his mother in such a dire time. Being able to be that clear-headed at that age. Wow, that is amazing. And that is really truly a blessing from the universe, from the angels, from the guides. Those moments when we can transition from difficult circumstances with ease, that is a miracle. People kind of forget what miracles are. He should have been jumping off of the walls, screaming at the top of his lungs, "What is happening? What is happening?" And no, you were blessed. You were truly blessed. And I'm sure it wasn't until you were much older that you realized, oh, this was work of divine. This was divine
Yeah,
intervention.
definitely. Whenever I think about it, I'm always thinking that there are so many reasons why I should have come home from school to a dead mother, right? There's so many reasons why that could have been the outcome,
Right.
but instead it wasn't. That was not the outcome of that day. I mean, she did end up passing away later, and she did end up trying to commit suicide again a few months later
Mm.
that I didn't know about. But it's like still it still was just there. Like I said, there's so many reasons why
But she wasn't successful at the second attempt, was she?
she was not. No. And actually, one of the things that was interesting is at the second time my father found her, and it would actually allow a chance for like him and I to connect years after she'd even passed away, when we kind of were able to connect and communicate about our shared experiences around my mother's attempted suicides.
Wow. And what was his like perception on this whole thing?
I don't know necessarily that he thought it was as divine necessarily. Like my father is a very rational kind of like, not cynical man, but he's lost, like he lost his sister when she was very young. She was in her early 20s, I think, or mid 20s. And, he doesn't necessarily have as deep a connection, I would say, with spirituality or faith, and he was very angry. It's like when you're really angry at someone who commits suicide, I think you get a different experience from it. Like he just had so much anger towards her that I don't
Wow.
think he could understand why she would do that. She had a family and had a son and all these things. So he had a hard time wrapping his head around that, but it at least, I think it provided a space for him and I to kind of generate closeness that maybe wasn't always there.
Yeah, and this is such a difficult topic to discuss with people just because there's so many rampant emotions. It's just like trigger. Like we start blaming ourselves. We can't comprehend how the other person is feeling. I want to share this comment with you here. I am proud of you for being there like that for your mom. when you were so young and being there for your younger self as an adult. I think you're doing a lot of healing and self reflection. And I'm proud of the person you were and are becoming, James. Love you.
Mhm.
How
I,
beautiful is that? This is from Amire. Hi, Amire. Do you know this person?
I do. Yeah, that's a friend of mine. We went to high school together. I've known her since I was like, I don't know, probably like 14 or 15, probably.
This is a very good friend. Very beautiful words. Thank you, Amare. You know, it's nice to have people close to you to see and support and validate your how you're transitioning and how you're shifting and how you're elevating yourself. And I'm really grateful that you came on today and shared this with us and let us just kind of slightly into your world a little bit and showing that, you know, you can experience something from so small and not integrate the experience fully, because a
Mhm.
lot of us kind of go, you know, when we're working through our healing and through our shadow work, we're just like, oh, well, there's nothing wrong. I'm not holding on to discord or resentment or anger. You know, a lot of people in the moment, they really believe like they're just boom, 100
Yeah.
all the time. And then you start to dig away, you start to declutter some boxes, and you're like, wait a minute. Um, hmm, there's something here that I really need to integrate.
Well, and what the part that I think makes it even full circle for me is that because of my own emotions, I got to a point where, because I had perceived my own business failings as just being this huge failure and just all this stuff.
Mm.
And it actually got to the point where like I was in a very dark place. I mean, it was probably the closest I've ever been in my own life to being suicidal. Like,
So it was almost like you were going through your own dark night of the soul.
yeah, very much so. And I remember I was taking a shower and I was like, well, what would happen if I just ended it all, right? Like, who would anyone even notice? Would anyone even care? And I remember thinking this, having this voice, and this is another time I attribute to like divine intervention, is that it was like, yeah, everyone would care. Like, there's not a single person in your life who would not care. Um, and then it helped me, right? I mean, I didn't necessarily feel better, but I was like, I know I can feel better.
Right.
And
The hope is back. And the hope is
yeah,
where the hope can be as small as a tiny seed. But if we have that hope eventually nurturing it becomes faith. And
yeah,
then that faith is what carries us through the next transition. How
yeah.
do you feel like you built up during that time for like other people who are listening who might also be going through their dark night of the soul? What do you feel like was that turning point or that point where there was hope again?
I got to this point where I realized I had a very clear realization that my entire life, and it wasn't just something recently, but my entire life, I'd been wanting to escape my own life. And it's not like there was any part, right? It's not like I could look at a single person or a thing and be like, I hate you, get out of my life. It was just like,
Right.
I wanted everything to be different, right? I wanted a better job, a better house. I wanted my relationships to be different. I wanted my relationship with my body to be different, right? I wanted everything to be different.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And a
And
lot of people don't understand that depression time, at the time we're getting suicidal, we do want to end it all. We want to end the avatar that we've created in our lives.
yeah,
You know, everything that's situation on our lives is designed by us. We've
yeah,
placed it there. And
yeah,
so we do have to find a way to, I'm air quoting this,
yeah,
release or kill these facets of ourselves that are just holding us back and not allowing us to be the truest representation of who we are.
yeah. No, and that's and with this business thing, it was like I had built it up in my mind that this business was like the one way for me to escape.
Right.
Like this was the escape from my life. And then when it didn't work out, there was just this hopelessness of like, well, I'm never going to escape. I'm never going to have the life that I want to have.
And I feel like people right now, especially during COVID, a lot of people are experiencing this. And I closed my doors in March,
Mm,
my physical brick and mortar building. And there's a lot of businesses that have had to close down their
yeah.
brick and mortar building. And it almost becomes like part of your identity.
Yeah.
Who you are, what you do is who you are. And it really isn't. But, you know, it's almost like a loss of a child.
Mhm.
So it's a huge grieving process to lose your business. People don't quite understand that your dreams, your hopes, your aspirations are all placed, and your self judgments are all placed onto how successful this thing becomes. And we kind of just lose sight of what it really means. We get attached to the thing itself.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's, you were 100% right. And I feel very fortunate in my life in, this pandemic world, because I can't imagine the people who've lost their jobs, lost their businesses, all these things. I can't imagine the emotional turmoil they're going through. Because like the realization I finally had was that like I can see what needs to change in my life, but I no longer want to escape anything. Like
Yeah.
I feel just so blessed and so grateful and so happy to just have the, what's the word I'm looking for? Just like have the divine grace to even be here in this moment, right? Like like I said, I could have died a million times in this lifetime, whether at my own hand or from something else. And the fact that I'm here at all is just this incredible blessing.
It sounds like you found your power in knowing that if something needs to shift, you can shift it.
Yeah.
I feel like that is really the game changer for everything. If you are unhappy, if you are overweight, if you have bad skin, if you hate your job, if you don't like your friends, change it. Change it, change it, change it, change it. You have the ability. You have all the power. Hi, Lauren. You have the power. Okay, this has been fantastic. Absolutely amazing, fantastic. James, what do you feel like the main lesson, if you wanted to give away a main lesson for everybody who's heard your story today, if you wanted to package it up in a nice little beautiful gift to the world, what would that gift say?
Oh, that's a great question. And I hope I can find the words that will help people, that will really hit. But I know for myself, like looking back on it, I can see just how like silly it was to put all my eggs in the basket I put it in. Like my feelings weren't silly. What was going on in my heart wasn't silly, but like,
absolutely.
It's like one thing I would really encourage is just let yourself have context, have context for what you're feeling in your life, what's going on in your life. And then just like you said, always remember that you are infinite potential. Like that's really what I believe divinity is. Divinity is just infinite potential. And that we have it just as much as any other divine being, right? We have divine potential inside of us.
Absolutely. And if people want to connect more with their divine potential, how would you say would be a good way to go about that?
I would say just look. We all look at the world. There's so many different places in this world. I would say every spirituality, right? Like if you're looking to get connected with your divine potential, like connect with your spirituality. If you don't have a spirituality, explore. I've really like dove in deep into Tibetan Buddhism, and I've just found incredible meaning from that. But I understand that that's not for everybody.
Right.
And I don't think there's one path. I'm a big believer that religion is just a vehicle, and that the point is like, we're all trying to get up the mountain. And if the vehicle helps you get up that mountain, then that's wonderful. So I'm having
just like that microphone is trying to get up that mountain.
It is. Yeah, that microphone is like, I gotta go all of a sudden.
Oh man, that's fantastic. That is absolutely fantastic. Do you have any book recommendations for anybody out there that is wanting to take action today?
That is a good question. Yeah, I've got a book right here actually that I think is a great book. I guess I've got two. There's one, it's called The Untethered Soul. I don't know if you can see this here.
Ooh.
By Michael A. Singer, which is really beautiful. And then if there's one where people are interested in getting a little deeper into Buddhism, I've got two books. There's a book that's called The Buddha Said.
The Buddha Said. Are these just quotes, or this is like a teaching?
It's kind of both. So The Buddha Said is where they take excerpts, like it was written for a Chinese audience, I think in like the 600 AD. And so they took just quotes from Buddha, from the sutras, and then just kind of lump them together with common themes, and then kind of package them for a traditional Chinese audience. Because like in Buddhism, there's a big belief that you speak to the hearer. And so,
right.
It's not about like how I want to talk. It's how is the best way to speak so that other people can hear me and how other people can listen. And so that was what they did, is they took the Indian teachings and they reformulated it for Chinese people, because, Chinese people are very different than Indian people. And, we all think differently.
Yeah, a lot of people get caught up in the label of where something comes from.
Yeah.
And we have to be more attentive of not the packaging of the message, but the message itself. Does this message serve me? Does this message elevate me? Does this message feed my soul? And then make choices based on what takes me closer to my divine purpose and then what brings me further away. So it's always very important to nurture your need for growth. We all have that need for growth. And when we stop growing, we get into those dark places, those places of depression, those places of stagnation. So it's important to stay nurturing this. Yes.
And then I have one more book. And I also want to comment, the beard is real, but I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you think it's perfect.
Oh, we have the press on beard. It is perfect.
And then the very last book I have, it's called How to Solve Our Human Problems. And it's by a teacher that I've been working with. I don't work with him directly, but I work with his teachers and his disciples. His name is Geshe Kelsing Gyatso, and he's a Tibetan monk who moved into the Western world from Tibet after China invaded back in the 60s and 70s.
Wow. This has been really good information, guys. So I hope you guys wrote down those titles and those authors. That way you can go ahead and take action today and elevate your own life. Find the message behind the label. Be open to receiving a message. You have to be there to even start the journey in general. And I have one question for you, James, which is, now some people, when they insure their best asset. So do you think you could possibly insure the beard?
Luckily, I'm sure I could. Luckily, I don't know that I would have to. It grows really quickly. Like if something happens where I were to lose my beard, I feel like I would lose my whole face. And at that point, I'd be like, it's whatever. Like, I don't need to have that much attachment to my beard if I've lost my whole face.
So true. This has been great. Thank you for being here with us. James, do you want to stay on? Let's play a game. Let's get some energy going here for the audience. And you hang out with me and let me know how you feel about that.
Perfect. Sounds great to me. I love it.
All right. So everybody, now is the time to have your own divine experience. So you're going to go ahead, close your eyes, get ready, and we're going to do 1 full minute of divine energy being transmuted to you.
Divine encounters align. Divine encounters, our life's design.
And just take a beautiful deep breath in and send it down to the ground. Visualize a brick wall surrounding you 360 degrees, and you, with a powerful mallet in your hand, begin to knock this brick wall down 1 brick at a time, row by row, brick by brick. And this beautiful white light is now emerging into you, in through you. Breathe it in and let it out. And feel yourself becoming expanded with this beautiful light energy. Now the breath in, send it down. 1 more up and 1 more down. Thank you, angels, guides, and ascended masters, for this beautiful moment that we've created. And just notice, you can keep your eyes closed for a moment further, or I invite you back and open your eyes and just take a notice over your body. Start from the head and scan your body all the way down to your feet. And let me know what you guys are feeling in the comments. If you felt anything, I would love to know. How are you feeling there, James?
Feeling very, very good. Very good.
I was feeling a lot of energy coming in through my crown chakra, kind of just explode in my third eye, come down the rest of my spine, a lot of heat and a lot of pressure. And I feel like I've had maybe 1 or 2 shots of cognac or something now. Kind of like, delicious.
That's what I love about divinity, is it's very blissful. The divine wants to share their bliss with us.
Yes, they do want to share their divine bliss with us. And we are a chemical factory. We are the best factory for all the pharmaceuticals that the earth has to offer. And all you have to do is open yourself up and allow yourself to a divine experience moment. And you too can also get stoned off of the energy. And you're welcome.
Yeah,
For you guys at home, you're welcome. I hope you enjoy that. And don't forget that you can go ahead and check James out on thebeardedpsychic.com. And of course, this is sacred space. So you are blah, 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 blah. No, divine energies got me like no more talking. No more talking. That is divine energy, ladies and gentlemen. I am an example of what happens when you are on the juice.
It's so true. I do massage also, and I always say that people get massage brain or massage voice after massage, but I think divine brain is a thing too. Like I think you've totally got divine brain.
Divine brain. We called it blissed out or zened out.
Yeah.
That's what I hear people call it. So all right. So now let's get into our game. We're gonna challenge you guys at home to use your intuitive abilities or to strengthen your current abilities right here, right now. So James, what we're going to do is I'm going to bring up this, this little challenge for you. Let's see if we can get, and in the comments, are you allowed to type, James? I'm not sure if you're allowed to type. Maybe not.
Let me see. I don't see.
I am not sure. Okay, how about this?
Oh, here it is. Yeah, I found. I can type, but I can't see and type at the same time.
Okay, so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna play the clip, and then I'm gonna pause it, and then you're gonna give me your answer, and then we'll let everyone else also put their answer into the comments, and then we'll play it and see what the answer is. Are you guys ready?
Perfect.
I am the oracle of
Okay, so your option is path 1, path 2, or path 3. Which path do I choose? Go in the comments. Go ahead. There is no wrong answers unless it's wrong. Then it's the wrong answer. But there are no.
Nothing's wrong except for the wrong ones. It's all right except for the wrong ones.
But there's no harm in trying. So go ahead. Am I going down path 1, 2, or 3? What do you think, James?
I think 3.
Let's go.
I am the oracle of I am the oracle of
You got it right.
I love it.
You got it right. What did you guys say? Did anyone else get it right? Oh, we got a 2 and we got a 2. Well, you know, there is only one bearded psychic right here. And you did type 3, so that's fantastic. How do you guys feel about that? Isn't that fun? Just a little like intuitive exercise to kind of get your like joy going. Like, am I right? Am I wrong? But does it matter?
Yeah.
No.
That's what's great about those intuitive ones is that if you are wrong, there's no hangups, there's no consequences at all. Like I know as intuitives, we get so hung up, like, am I making the right choice? But it's like, that doesn't matter at all. Don't even give it a second guess.
It's just like the Matrix moment. Do you want the red pill or do you want the blue pill? But no, if you take this pill, there's no going back unless you're wrong. Then yeah, then there is really no going back. James, thank you again for being here today. I'm going to put your info one more time up here on the screen so everyone can check it out. That's why he is the psychic. This is so true. Let's highlight that. Can we just, yeah, hold on. Let's highlight that. That's why he's a psychic. This comment right here is life. It really absolutely is all life right here. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and get into the we're gonna get into your message for the rest of the week. And James, you can hang out if you like.
Perfect, sounds good.
All right, let's add this stream. Yeah, we're gonna mute you though, James. Okay, you can just hang out here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna go ahead and give you now some angel messages for the end of your week. And if you watched me on Monday night, on Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, you would have seen all of your beautiful, abundant blessings and all of the audio problems I also had, but that's all right. We're going to go ahead and give you your angel message for today. So, in the past position, we have Yvonne here, and she's talking about pets. And I found this interesting because, sometimes we get into a position where we just don't have the support emotionally or energetically that we need from the other humans around us that are in our circle. So we can rely on our plants and on our pets and on nature walks and basically all of those other things that we know give us love back, but may not just have that voice. And it's important to know that your pet that you have right now, if you do have a pet, or it could be your plants, they have chosen to be incarnated with you in this lifetime at this moment. They're here to teach you. Your dogs are here to teach you to play, to let your tail down. Your kitties are here to teach you all about independence and your inner world work. So let your pets continue to guide you and lean on them because they are here. They are your takers much more than you guys even realize. Your the past blessing that you have received, so it should be coming in now if it hasn't already, is healing. And you have Angel Gabriel bringing everybody healing. We love Angel Gabriel. And he has given you this blessing. So look in your life and see what you have let go of. See what no longer holds power over you. I feel a lot of freedom for a lot of you guys here. And that's very important to have that because it's a recognition that we have the ability to heal ourselves by allowing something new to take over what we have let go of. And we never let go of something without replacing it with something, chosen or unchosen. Coming into the present position, we have Fiona. And now that you've asked the angels for help to be open to be receiving divine guidance and assistance, you deserve heaven's help. So look at that. You weren't supported by your humans most likely recently. And I feel like a lot of people are going to be going through this for the rest of 2020, where we're going to be looking for ways for people to help us, government, help us, help get me a job. And we're not going to be able to rely so much on the people. But the blessing here with Fiona is that she's bringing you a blessing of help. And that may not come from another person, and that's okay. It may come from opportunities, paths, circumstances. And if you do have an angelic helper to come and support you, even better, because we didn't feel supported and now we are. What a blessing that is. And if you're still feeling a little bit unsure about that, well, Oracle, you know what? I have all these naysayers in my life. I have all of these basic Karens in my life. And these Karens don't want to help me. You have this beautiful angel Faith, as her name implies, bringing you faith. Angel Faith is bringing you faith. And it's okay. It's a blessing. It is okay to be wavering in your faith. It's okay to not always feel as strong. The universe didn't go, okay, I'm going to give you these trials, but I'm only going to give you these opportunities if you always are in faith. The universe recognizes you are a cyclical being. There are natural cycles around you, and sometimes we're going to feel fortuitous and sometimes we're not. But recognize that right now the blessing is the universe is abiding by its word that it has spoken upon your life, that it has spoken upon your spirit of what you are meant to accomplish, and not the curses that you speak upon your own life, not the doubt, not the naysayers, and not the opinions of anybody else. Because opinions of anybody else are not the blueprint that the universe has already placed on your life. They're just merely opinions, and no one else can see for certain what you know that the universe has spoken upon your life. So always take your divine inspiration, your gut feelings, and your instincts precedence over any opinions, because who's going to vindicate you? The universe, not the opinions of others. Coming into that future position, you guys have Caressa. Does this sound like a ASMR name? Caressa. You are at the end of a cycle in your life. Call upon the angels to comfort you and to guide you to your next step, because happiness awaits you now. So we're coming out of that end. We're basically ending a victimized mentality. We're ending what no longer serves us. We're ending an old cycle. And just like James said earlier, there's facets of ourselves that have to go away. Bye bye, facets. And those facets already walked out the door, got their luggage. So don't bother emailing them or sending them a card to just see if they got there okay. That is not your business, honey. Let them go. Let them go wherever they're going. And you, my dear, you go to that beautiful beach place, that place of calm and that place of serenity. Own it. Speak it on your life. Favor it. Recognize it. Feel the blessings inside of you because they're there. They are there. And all you have to do is recognize one. If you can recognize one, your awareness around your entire life will begin to shift because it's like a domino effect. And you're going to even create more beautiful things around you. You're going to create more happiness around you because you're going to recognize the things that you should be happy for. We all have so many unconditional blessings in our life. There's so many things to be happy for. You can just look at yourself right now, and if you're breathing, just be happy for your breath because that is a gift. And the blessing that is coming to us from the future, and I say coming to us from the future, but really it's already there, honey. It's already there. And all you have to do is walk your little walk and make your way in the direction of it and reach out because it's there already. It's like a waypoint. And Angel Daniel, who is the angel of forgiveness, by the way, I love Angel Daniel. He's kind of like the Snoop Dogg of angels. He's so chill and relaxed. I love him. But he is blessing us in our future self with sweetness. And this, of course, this reading is coming into the end of the week. He's blessing you with sweetness. Sweetness in the way you look at yourself. Sweetness in the way that you design your altar. Sweetness in the way that you describe yourself and you feel about yourself. We can be overcritical to the point where life begins to taste sour and bitter. And our inner critic oversteps its boundaries and it kind of just flourishes out in a not a beautiful way, but it just kind of pours out and it contaminates the rest of our life. So this blessing is kind of like the redo. It's like, it's okay. It's okay if you spoke that. It's okay if you thought that. It's okay if you're still thinking that because we are blessing you with sweetness. Life has so much to offer and we can experience everything life has to offer when we sit in that sweetness, when we allow that sweetness into our hearts. But most importantly, when we cultivate that sweetness into our lives, what a powerful, powerful thing. Let's see, James, I want to know what you're thinking about this. How are you feeling about this for coming into the week? Do you have any insight for us, bearded psychic?
Yeah, as you were speaking, I thought these were just really, really beautiful cards and beautiful influence. And the big thing I was getting was don't be the Karen in your life. Like, and what I mean is like, don't be the Karen to yourself, right? Like we have such a terrible habit of like,
Yes.
we're the Karen, right? Like we're the ones who's overly critical and angry and frustrated. And, you know, like I'm really on this kick of like, don't abuse yourself. If it's inappropriate to do to someone else, it's inappropriate to do to you.
And that is such a powerful, powerful statement, guys. Be kind to yourself. Be sweet to yourself. Love yourself. Nurture yourself. 2020 has been a bang up year. An understatement of the century, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any insight for insider predictions for what is to come for the rest of 2020?
You know, sometimes I struggle with predictions like this because I feel like I connect so much with like love and peace and happiness that then when the craziness comes, I'm like, oh, I was too busy looking at love. I didn't even see the craziness. But one thing that I will say that I've at least seen is like when the craziness arises, whether it's in this year or next year or whenever, because craziness will never, like, as long as we're human, craziness will arise. Is like when the craziness arises, use it as a time to just stop and take a breath and really look at yourself, right? Like we're so focused on everyone else. We're so focused on what the government's doing, on what the politicians are doing, or what conservatives are doing, on what liberals are doing. We're so concerned with everyone else that we forget to like just look at ourselves and just stop and ask, is this really what I want to be doing? Is this really where I want to be?
And that's a very important thing to notice. when we're being confronted with all of this opposition and these energies that are kind of just like feeling like we're bringing us down, they're shifting not just the way we live our lives, not just our habits, but they're shifting the deep-seated beliefs of how much we actually need and what is valuable in our life. I feel like a lot of people have discovered the value of their loved ones during this quarantine, the value of their children and their spouses, and really recognizing and seeing what opportunities that they have at home because they are home.
Yeah.
Have you had any revelations while you have been at home since Corona?
Oh, definitely. So my husband, he normally works out. I work at home where I go to my office, or he works at his job. And I was really hesitant to have him be at home because I thought he was going to drive me crazy. And I've actually, just what you're saying, I've actually treasured him being here. I'm kind of like hesitant for when he has to go back to work, because like we see lunch every day, and I see him throughout the day, and it's actually really just been very nice. And I think I was telling you via the text is that I know that this is not the case for a lot of people. So if you're one of these people that doesn't feel this way, I want you to know my heart and my love really goes out to you. But in some ways, I feel so peaceful during this time, because I feel like all the unnecessary stuff that I was trying to rush around to fill my life with, I no longer have to do that. And there's no judgment for me not wanting to do that, if that makes sense. I feel like pre-COVID, there was so much like, it's like we had to cram our lives full of so much stuff. And most of it wasn't important, but if we didn't do it, it's like we had to do that just to keep up with society.
It's so true. And I really feel that way too. It's just kind of like, I was teaching 27 classes a month, and I don't think that I really recognize the fullness of what that was doing to me, overextending myself, and kind of coming back through this whole circumstance. I pared down to 4 classes a month, but that actually winded up letting me have more time. It actually not just gave me more time, but more individualized clients, so that I can share that time with them and be more of the supportive role than just a host for events, which is where I feel like I was going. I'm just like this person who opens the door, guides it, and then we're done. Instead of getting in the weeds with someone and helping them walk through things even more deeply. So for me, this has been a huge experience. And for those at home who are still struggling during this time, know that this is only meant to make you stronger. It is meant to teach you something about yourself, to eliminate the garbage that no longer serves you, to eliminate the circumstances that no longer serve you, or the people, or to see the people that no longer serve you in our lives. And it's difficult to not just see, but then take action, like when you have a friend or something and you kind of see that they're phasing themselves out of your life, or you kind of just have that hunch like, this person's not as, this person's a little toxic. And for a lot of people, right, for a lot of
Just
people,
a little.
it's just a little, but it's hard. They'd rather have the toxicity than the freedom.
It's comfortable. They know it. They're used to it.
So what are you guys comfortable with? Throw it in the comments here. Full moon energy still around. Go ahead. Let's make this a manifestation moment. Throw in the comments what you're giving away, what you are letting go of, what you are not going to allow to control your life anymore, right there in the comments. And if you have a divine encounter that you would like to share here on my show, Divine Encounters, please send me an email at divineencounters@e360tv.com. I will send you an intake form because I would love to hear all about it. And come visit me Sunday night at 7 p.m. Eastern time, where I do your weekly predictions for your horoscope signs and your angel blessings. And of course, like in every show, we will have our intuitive moment where we'll practice our psychic abilities. We will have our healing divine moment where you can experience energy for yourself. And of course, there's always a tarot card of the day, because who doesn't like good news? So come see me on Monday night. I keep saying Monday, Sunday at 7 p.m. And also we have Angelo Adrian, author, coming to our set, and that will be Wednesday. And I'll be traveling the Midwest the majority of August. So if you see me in the same clothes, it's not because I lived in them. That's probably because I filmed 2 broadcasts in one day. So shush. James, tell everyone where they can get a hold of you, please.
Yeah, you can reach out to me on Facebook. I'm the Bearded Psychic. On Instagram, beardedpsychic.com. My email is beardedpsychic. Yeah, just anywhere at all. I love connecting with people. My biggest thing, I don't do psychic readings as much anymore as I do connect people with their own intuition. That's the big thing I do. Just like how you said, I really will hold people's hands with the weeds, through the weeds, as we work through karmic stuff and past life stuff. Past life stuff is really kind of my specialty, is how to really get the lesson so we don't have to do it over and over and over again, because that really is not fun at all.
Yeah, no. And if you guys notice something in our show today and want to help me make it better, email me. A Girl is Learning. This is episode 2. And at least we had audio the entire time. So I'm so grateful for that.
I do have to tell you, though, all your jewelry is just great. Like, you're blinging it out. I just love it.
Can we just hold on? Can we just do like a little whoop, whoop, whoop? James's shirt, though. Go ahead, James. Let's give us a little pop right there. Ooh, yes. Yes. Fancy, fancy. We got to leave it on a high note. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And for me, remember, above all else, continue to create divine experience. Continue to know thyself, love thyself, and remember the divine always has your back. Ciao.